The time is 3 p.m. from Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio.
gẹ́rẹ́gẹ́ láago mẹ́ta ọ̀sán lù láti ìkànnì kànga agbọ́nmágbẹ̀ 89.3 FM.
True nation building begins with character, integrity, responsibility, purpose. That's the vision of Nurture Nest on Character Matters for Nation Building. Hosted by Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe, Sundays 3 to 4 p.m. on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, Ibadan. Character Matters, building values, shaping lives. You're listening to Character Matters for Nation Building with your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe on Wells Radio 89.3 FM. You're listening to Character Matters for Nation Building with your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe on Wells Radio 89.3 FM.
Good afternoon, everyone out there, male, female, young and old. Welcome to Character Matters for Nation Building on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio. I am your regular host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe from Nurture Nest Wellness and Counseling Consult. It's such a privilege to be back this afternoon. And we're grateful to God for life, for the opportunity to be able to do this again today. Thank you to all of those who make this happen every Sunday. I have right here with me our studio manager, Mr. Derley. Thank you so much for all you do. And of course, we're grateful to the station manager and of course the CEO, Evangelist Badimosi. It's such a privilege to be back this afternoon. And for the past several weeks, we have gathered in the studio with panels of, I would say, extraordinarily brilliant minds, lawyers, psychologists, educators, social workers, parents, and even the inspiring children that we had last week who gave us the national blueprints. But today, we will be delving into something that is quite important to consider, really apt for the times that we're in, and has the lead counselor and your regular host. I'm not just here to, like I always say, reel out, what the issues are. They're staring us in the face. I mean, you turn to the left, you see all of those things, you hear the news and all of that. But today we're calling ourselves back into some form of introspection and helping our mental well-being. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Nation building begins with character, integrity, responsibility, purpose. That's the vision of Nurture Nest on Character Matters for Nation Building. Hosted by Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe, Sundays 3 to 4 p.m. on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, Ibadan. Character Matters, building values, shaping lives. You're listening to Character Matters for Nation Building with your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe on Wells Radio 89.3 FM.
All right, well, welcome back, everyone listening in, maybe across the airwaves on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, or maybe you're listening in and watching via the social media platform on Facebook or YouTube. We want to say a very big welcome to you again. It's another time in the nest. Oh, this is the nest where we do a lot of, audit of character with one sole intention of proffering solutions, or there's a mirage of, issues that we're faced with. And we're not just coming to begin to list them all over again. We all know them. But one of the things that we're saying to ourselves in times like this is, what do we do with all of this that we have, the issues bedeviling our nation and all of that? Over the last month, our state in particular, or your state, been rocked to the core. And it's not just there, your state. We've heard of the same story, happening in Borno State, especially the abduction of students and their teachers, educators, and pockets of other, series of abductions of individuals or families. And, we have wrestled with the rising anxieties of parents in an unstable world. And it's not just the parents at this time, the anxieties that the children face. If you were with us last week, you would have heard, how some of our amazing children, spoke up, because we give them that opportunity to be able to bear their minds. And that is really crucial and important in times like this. And so we're looking at today, how do we protect our nest, protect our homes, protect our hearts, in spite of the kind of news not pleasant that we get to hear every now and again. And in the midst of all of this, sometimes also you see some persons with unguided, or I must say sometimes intentionally being evil, some kind of intentions to cause trepidation, cause anxiety in the hearts of people. So to see a lot of rumor mongering, you see people coming up with unverified news, unverified statements, and what all of those do is to cause anxiety in the hearts of people. So today we're looking at the kind of posture that we need to have, the kind of response that we need to give, because sometime also during the week I had the opportunity as a child rights advocate, a part of the Child Protection Network body, and at the press briefing, some of the things that we pointed out is the fact that those who are in captivity, who are held hostage, they're not the only ones who are being traumatized in times like this. So you have the primary trauma, those who are, traumatized, who are receiving, the pain, receiving torture directly. And then you have those who are their families, who bear the secondary trauma, as it were. And of course, you and I out there, when we hear news like this, and then you see a lot of people, the kind of things that they say, the hearts of men are failing them. And that is, would I say, expectedly so, because the way that the heart is structured, there are things that can trigger some kind of emotions. And we're not just here to begin to, like I said, just reel out all of the issues that we have facing us. And then we want to begin to see how to take decisive steps and actions as individuals to protect ourselves, protect our nest, protect our environment, protect the people who are around us. So what we're doing today, you want to be able to understand, what do we do, especially starting with the most vulnerable. I'm talking about the children. You're looking at the fact that we're saying, yes, we're not saying that these things are not real. And that's one of the first steps that we need to take. We need to be real with ourselves. Be real with ourselves in the sense of the fact that, yes, these things that are happening, we cannot downplay the severity we cannot downplay the impact that this has on our individual well-being and collective well-being as individuals who are part of families, individuals who are part of society. And so what we're saying to ourselves is we want to be able to look at these things. How do we provide response? And part of what we're saying is that, you have the immediate response that we need to provide, of course, that which is in the hands of the Almighty. We're praying to Him and asking His divine intervention, for those who've been held hostage to be released, miraculously. We understand the fact that, the security operatives across the land are also, trying their best. But of course, the fact that these captors are, using the captives as shield. So those who will want to go out to rescue them are also being very careful and cautious. But in the midst of all that, they have their families back home who are expectantly, anxiously waiting for their return, waiting for them to come back. So today, I'm answering that question. How do we keep building character when the world around us or around our children, feels like it's fracturing? So we want to begin to look at all of this from the home. Like we always say on this show, charity begins from home. So if you're at home, you're driving in the car, or you're there, you just stumbled into this broadcast, yes, it's a good time that you're able to connect at this time, or you're watching on Facebook. We want to say that please call people around you, gather around and listening, because we're going to be sharing with you some insightful, enlightening details and lessons that you can glean from to help your well-being in this time. Once again, I'm Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe from Nurture Nest. Stay with us.
From the stable of Nurture Nest, Character Matters for Nation Building. You're listening to Character Matters for Nation Building with your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe on World Radio 89.3 FM.
All right, you're welcome back. It's still Character Matters on Wells Radio 89.3 FM. Some available data sets differ, because some count only mass school abductions, while others include smaller incidents and, maybe tertiary institutions. But some recent compilations estimate between 1,700 and 2,416 students abducted in at least 20 to 26 major school attacks since 2014. The very first one being in April 2014, the abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls from Government Girls Secondary School in Chibok. And, you've had several others after that. You've had from Government Girls Science and Technical College in Dapchi in Yobe. That very first one was from Borno State. And of course to the recent that we have in Oyo State. And what that has done, especially beginning with children. The hearts of children are also troubled. And that's one thing that we must not downplay as adults around them. we must not shy from the fact that children also have emotions. Children also have feelings, and they feel all of these things. They hear all of these things. They have access to information, maybe from TV, from radio, and some of them maybe from school, from friends, have access to social media and all of that. And as parents, it's important that we're not just, like I said, just giving it a wave of the hand that, oh, their children, what do they know? Oh, they know a lot and they understand a lot. So we're looking at an understanding of what this would do, and the call for us, the call to action, that we need to create, a space for our children, even at home. So we're beginning from the home. We're calling on you, parents, please create a safe space where your sons and your daughters, your children at home, can voice their fear without being shamed. So you're not saying, you're not strong. Oh, why are you afraid? Are we not here with you? Please give them opportunity to be able to open up to you as parents, or, maybe caregivers, guardians around them in the home setting. Just like we had last week, some children, from care homes. Yes, adults around them also should endeavor, that they give opportunity for these children to be able to air their views, to be able to voice their fear without being shamed or judged. So that's the starting point. Give them that opportunity where they can say exactly how they feel. So because when you're looking at, I already established that the trauma that we're talking about at this point in time is not just that which is affecting, those who are directly involved or who are directly impacted. So you're looking at what is it? So you're looking at trauma as the emotional, psychological, and sometimes physical response to an event or series of events that overwhelms a person's ability to cope. I take that again. So you're looking at trauma, simply is the emotional, psychological, and sometimes physical response to an event or series of events that overwhelms a person's ability to cope. So, and trauma can often result from experiences such as, abuse or violence, accidents or injuries, kidnapping, as we have all around us, or abduction, war or conflict, natural disasters, sudden loss of a loved one, neglect, or even prolonged hardship. All of these, can result into trauma. And the common effects of trauma would include fear and anxiety, which is, sometimes palpable in the atmosphere, nightmares or flashbacks, especially for those who've been impacted directly or primarily, who have suffered from the impact of, the pain that's been inflicted or the hardship or that's been inflicted on them. You have the also resultant effect of difficulty in trusting other people, emotional numbness, anger or irritability, difficulty in concentrating, feelings of helplessness or insecurity. So these are some of the common effects of trauma that, we have. And like I said, it's important that we as adults, we are expected to know better so that we can help the younger ones around us. That is not to say that adults do not also suffer from the impact or effect of trauma. So, and trauma is not defined solely by what happened. It's also shaped by how the person experienced and processed the event. So it's not solely by what happened, especially in the instance of the abductions that we're having around us. So the people who are being abducted, that alone sets some kind of trepidation, shock. And you need to understand that. So the shock that is sent down the spine, and then the torture of being taken through, maybe locked up somewhere, hindered, limited, and deprived of their rights. So we need to understand how these things impact on the well-being of people. And we're not just going, like I said, to just shove it away with a wave of the hand that, oh, you'll be fine. It goes beyond just saying you will be fine. Yes, we will pray for them as people of faith all over the place, and we're praying. Beyond praying also, there is a therapeutic response that will be given to such persons. But those, for those who are in captivity right now, I've seen a number of troubling reports as to the severity of torture that people in captivity, the severity of the torture they're exposed to, even to the extent that some of them are sexually violated and abused. And I read a very pathetic one of how one of them eventually, became suicidal and, actually committed suicide. So we're saying the people have been through, agonizing issues. What is our response to people like that, to those who have been released, as we're trusting that all of those still in captivity are also going to be released? Those who have been released, what is our response? Yes, we pray with them, pray for them. We need to take appropriate steps, ensuring that they go for proper medical checks. Those, if you have anyone around you who's been through, such horrendous, torture, please do not just stop at the realm of the faith-based response of praying for them or praying with them. We also need to ensure that they go for proper medical care. Some of them, from reports that we've heard and received, a lot of them, some from personal testimonies, would have to trek several, kilometers without water, without food. So they're exposed. So remember what we said, when I was, talking about how the trauma impacts on people, that you are also talking about what happens to individuals physically, to their body. So some of them, they have to take off their shoes, or maybe while they were trying to run for their lives, they left their shoes and they're walking and treading, such dangerous paths, with their bare feet. So they have been exposed to, being bruised by sharp objects and all of that. So when they come out, there's a need for proper medical check and proper medical care. And we're appealing to families, we're appealing to government, that government also is not stopping at the point of just ensuring that they are rescued, that, from captivity, that government also steps in. And we're also saying, well-meaning individuals, health, agencies, medical personnel can also, in times like this, render their services, pro bono, for people like that to be able to regain their dignity. So because what has happened to them has impacted on their well-being from their mind. So we've talked about, the issue of the effects, the fear and anxiety. So people who are there right now, imagine what they're going through. So that in terms of our intervention, the intervention has to be holistic. So we're not just talking about the immediate release. What happens to them after their release is also important, so that they do not live in continuous trauma. It's important what happens to them. So, and I said, trauma is not defined solely by what happened. It is also shaped by how the person experienced and processed the event. So some persons, maybe as a result of their personality or the experiences, the background, upbringing they've had, they're able to just go through it and, after a while, they come out of it. But some other persons, especially when you're talking about the effects that it has on them, some will be having nightmares. In fact, for all of us, if some of us who've seen some of these videos, in fact, I personally, I'm not able to view some of the videos. Imagine the kind of impact it has on you as somebody who's viewing after it has happened. Then imagine those who were there live when it was being done. Imagine those who were there when that teacher was beheaded. So the kind of trauma, the shock that, this leaves with an individual, we shouldn't gloss over it. So the nightmares, it can come in form of nightmares that the person sometimes, the loss of concentration, they're not sleeping, the nightmares will come, they're sleeping and it's like a dream, and then they wake up, they're startled, they see those pictures again, because we talk about the gateways into our heart. So the gateway, the eye gate, where you've seen something or you've heard something, there's what it does to your mind, and it goes into your subconsciousness. So when that person falls asleep, it also forms the basis for the kind of dreams that they will have. So we need to be prepared. All hands must be on deck to help this kind of people. And for those of us who are here in the neighborhood, in families, the children who have heard this information, what are the things that we need to do as adults around them? And for us ourselves as adults, we need to protect the gates into our heart. Please, it's not every video that is trending that you will go and click and watch. It's not every news information out there that you have, control over your person. You do not have to see them, because these things can be traumatizing for you as an individual, even for you who has not experienced the pain, the agony, directly. It can impact on you as, secondary trauma. And I would say limit yourself to mainstream news information. Limit yourself. For instance, it's out there in the news, and then you just listen to what has happened, get the statistics. Yes, if you need to, areas where you need to take caution, where you need to, be security conscious and all of that, take all of those. But when it now gets to the point where you are beginning to view such videos, they can impact on your well-being. And for us who are here alive and well, we need to be strong enough to be able to help those who are falling captive. And we're trusting that, such kind of calamity and evil will come to an end in our land, in the name of Jesus. Okay, so I've talked about difficulty in trusting others, because when this happens, and you've heard all over the news, the people who are involved are usually people who ride motorcycles, or so they're afraid you want to board a bike, and there's fear and trepidation. Or you've heard, they're from particular tribes, they're from particular locations. So when you see people who look like such kind of persons, fear sets in that, this person looks like them. And in fairness, it's not, like we say, that you cannot categorize an entire group just because of one bad egg. But unfortunately, this is what it is. So we need to be able to help one another. And trust now has been breached. And when trust is a very expensive, treasure and ingredient in any relationship. When it is breached, it is usually difficult to get it back. And so we're saying, yes, the children may have such kind of feelings. Some people are saying now, don't employ certain people from certain, ethnic group, don't employ them as your guards. It might not be all of them, but because trust has been breached, so we need to exercise caution. Those who take our children to school owners also giving appropriate trainings to those who've been employed as drivers, who've been employed as chaperones, who follow the students. I'd been involved in school run service at some time back in Lagos, and one of the things that we would put in place as safeguarding policy is that, with the children on the bus, there necessarily has to be somebody on the bus with the children to also mind them as on while they're on the bus. So it's important. We have situations where parents, because of their work schedule, they trust some particular riders, maybe as they're called Okada riders or Mara riders, to take their children. At this point in time, we need to exercise more caution. Now, emotional numbness. This can also affect not just the people who have experienced the torture firsthand, but those who are also their families. So imagine a grandmother who says that 4 of her grandchildren are part of those students who were captured, and then as our daughter-in-law. Imagine what is happening to her, as an individual. And such kind of persons, because of what they've been through, and especially those also who have been violated, who have been violated sexually. Emotional numbness will come in. They are not able to trust people. So when they come out, they need appropriate counseling. And we're using this opportunity to say to people out there, please do not stay quiet in the feelings that you have. Do not, there's a place and a way also that people make you feel like, oh, you're not strong. Oh, you have prayed. Oh, yes, you have prayed. But there's also a place of what you can do, the steps that you can take, and you can talk to a therapist. You can talk to professional counselors who can help you go through the process of recovery. The process of recovery. And, recovery for those who have received, who are the receiving end firsthand, and the process of healing for those who have received the trauma, secondarily. And, they don't necessarily have to have their family members or people who are close with them as part of those who may have been abducted. But the fact that they've heard the news, the fact that it has, they've become aware of that situation, anger or irritability, that's another thing, that's, another effect that this trauma can bring. So they can flare up, get angry easily, get irritable. And this calls for patience. It calls for patience. Those of us as adults around the children, of course, families also, family members. So do not think or feel that the fact that you feel strong about hearing, this news information or watching some of those videos and, you feel it doesn't really do anything to you, and somebody is expressing some deep emotions, maybe they're crying, and you're trying to downplay it. Please, let us desist from such tendencies. Do not downplay, the feelings of others. Difficulty in concentration, I mentioned that. So one of the things to do, you talk about, where you need, basically when you talk about physical, need to declutter your environment, your space. Sometimes you're looking at your environment, you're seeing, oh, what am I doing with these shoes? They're just getting the whole place cluttered. You need to sweep, you need to move some things out. Imagine when, you're having a new building or facility constructed and you're moving out the debris and all of that to have space, to have clarity. Some persons are not able to filter all of the information that comes to them. And what that does to them is that it clutters their mind. And there's a need for renewal of the mind. I encourage you, be a faith person, putting your trust in God. It's absolutely important that you have the Word of God as your anchor. But also important is the fact that you need to get your mind decluttered. So all of those negative information and news that you have heard, you need to replace them with positive information, positive news. And that's where the place of affirmation, affirming love, affirming truth, affirming honesty, affirming, faith. All of these are very important in times that we live in, that you are helping somebody out there. You're helping the children, affirming to them that God is alive, that God is with them, is a way to help the mind be renewed from whatever has got into the mind, to fill the mind with fear. Then sometimes people have feelings of helplessness. Maybe before I go away from the issue of difficulty in concentration, especially for children, and you know how it is also as adults, the things that you have seen, and you're trying to read maybe a page, a piece of information, a content, and before you know it, your mind has traveled several miles away. How does that happen? The way this happens is the fact that it has come in through the eye gates or the ear gates, because you've seen it, you've read it, or you've heard it as information. So your mind takes it in. And what happens with your mind is that it processes. Sometimes some of the information that come in, they just stay, they are as it were, maybe just dormant somewhere. But there's some kind of information because there's a barrage of that kind of information coming at you, left, right, and center. So it's not staying dormant at that point in time. It's something that is staring you in the face. So that is why I've said that you need to choose the kind of information that you are allowing into your heart in times like this, so that you will not lose concentration on things that are positive. So please stay positive. What are the kind of contents that you're focusing on? Ensure that they are positive. They are lovely. Whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are honest. Make sure these are the kind of information that you're focusing on. I also mentioned there's a lot of rumor mongering that is going around. Some people are just intentional about causing grief and causing pain for. It's like they take pleasure, as if they just take pleasure in causing pain for other people. And then before you know it, they've put up, some kind of news and they've sent it out there and people begin to spread and share some kind of information. What do? You have a role to play. I have a role to play by ensuring that I fact check whatever information you get before you send it out there, having the understanding that it's going to have an impact on somebody. Please verify your claims, verify your news, verify all information that you receive before you send them out. Please stay with us. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll look at some other points that will help our well-being. Thank you.
Of Nurture Nest. Character Matters for Nation Building. From the stable of Nurture Nest.
89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio.
How long will it take you to confirm payment? I have been waiting for the past 1 hour.
I'm so sorry. Our network is slow. I will just run out of data.
Same excuse yesterday. It is unacceptable, please. You better switch to One Data Internet Service.
One Data?
Yes, One Data. One Data is an internet service provider with the best alternative and solution for unlimited speed. One Data provides fast and reliable internet service to organizations, homes, and places of interest in Nigeria. With One Data, you get to enjoy the premium internet service with dedicated unlimited internet speed at all times, 24/7 fantastic customer service and support, and you enjoy a 1-month free subscription when you make payment. Now is the time to say goodbye to downtimes. Sign up with One Data today on 0811 223 2671 or visit www.onedata.ng for more inquiries. One Data, unlimited speed.
Are you hungry for something delicious? Food that feels like home but tastes like pure luxury? Then welcome to Honeydew Restaurant, where every meal is made to make you smile. From our smoky jollof to rich ofada sauce to a variety of delicious soups like egusi, eforiro, and more, paired with your favorite proteins and hot, freshly made swallows, all made for you to enjoy. We also handle bulk orders in liters, fresh and ready whenever you need it. We deliver it to your doorstep. At Honeydew, it's not just the food, it's the feel. With our beautiful ambience, perfect for your romantic dates, family outings, or your quiet, relaxing evening escape. Join us every last Friday of the month at 7 p.m. for karaoke night with Jayola and enjoy music, games, food, drinks, and free mocktails and cocktails as you sing your hearts out. Visit us at Plot 42, Block 8, Alaafin Avenue, beside Wells Radio, Oluyole Estate, Ibadan. For your doorstep delivery or inquiries, call or WhatsApp 0814-691-6635, 0814-691-6635. Honeydew Restaurant, where every meal is made to make you smile.
89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio.
From the stable of Nurture Nest. Character Matters for Nation Building. This conversation shapes lives. Welcome back to Character Matters for Nation Building.
All right, well, welcome back. Thank you very much for staying tuned to Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio. It's still Character Matters from Nurture Nest. I'm your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe. In case you'd like to be part of this conversation, please feel free to call in 0916 893 1000, 0915 333 4893. 3. You can be part of the conversation, or you've had an experience and you require some clarity. Please feel free to call in, or you've seen something around you that has happened and you want to share, or you've been involved directly. You also have an opportunity to be able to share. So I've been talking about what trauma is, how it affects us as individuals, and how it results from experiences, the various experiences through which it occurs. And I want to say to families, individuals who've been through such, agonizing torture, especially in the hands of kidnappers, abductors, and particularly to those who've been sexually violated. We feel your pain. We empathize with you, but we want to say, please do not stay in that state. Do not remain in that state. There is help for you. You need support. You need psychosocial support, and that's where we are available to help at Nurture Nest. You can reach out to us on 0805 635 4859 for counseling support. So whatever it's been about, abuse or violence that's causing the trauma, accidents or injuries, kidnapping or abduction, like it's been happening, but we know that's stopping by the power of the Lord, be it war or conflict, natural disasters, sudden loss of a loved one. And I'll say with regards to that, sometimes you've had families who've lost loved ones, and all the focus and attention many times is just on the adults, and the children are left uncared for. Please let us know also that the children have feelings and they have emotions, so we need to also respond to them. Or maybe it's as a result of neglect or prolonged hardship. There's help, there's support. So I talked about the fact that trauma is not defined solely by what happened. It is also shaped by how the person experienced and processed the event. And individuals, I want us to know, respond or react to situations in various ways. So an experience that is traumatic for one person may not affect another person in the same way. So there will be different ways that individuals respond, to certain situations and experiences. And that's why we're saying, please, your pain is not another person's pain. Your feeling is not another person's feeling. Do not downplay the feeling of somebody else. The fact that you do not feel exactly the way that another person feels does not make you superior to them in feelings, to maybe paint some kind of image as if you were some kind of superhero because you have not felt pain or you have not felt agony in some particular way. And you say, but the same thing happened to us now. The same thing happened to us now. We went through it together now. So why is your own like this? No, please. That is not healthy. It's not encouraging. It does not help healing. It does not help recovery. So what we're saying is, in counseling and mental health practice, trauma is usually described as a wound to a person's emotional, psychological, even spiritual well-being. Some people go through some of these agonizing situations and pain, and they begin to wonder whether God really exists. They begin to ask questions. They begin to ask themselves, and they look at themselves, that people who are worse than they are, maybe in terms of character, are not even going through such situations. And you see what we're going through and dealing with as a nation. We're all seeing the effect that many times is the innocent who suffer these things. And that's why we're also coming back, because this is Character Matters. I also, read some write-up about some of these bandits on TikTok who were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. And some of our people, they were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. And some of our people, they were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. And some of our people, they were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. And some of our people, they were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. And some of our people, they were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. And some of our people, they were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. And some of our people, they were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. And some of our people, they were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. And some of our people, they were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. And some of our people, they were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. And some of our people, they were asking people to share their bank accounts so they could send money to them. Isn't that worrisome? As some of our people were giving their account details for these bandits to send money to them. And here we are. And a lot of times what we do majorly is point accusing fingers at, those are the aim of affairs. But those are the aim of affairs came from out of us. They came from amongst us. So whatever we see now, if such kind of persons who sent their account details to those bandits, if they got an opportunity to be leaders, imagine what they would have done. Imagine the kind of attitudes that such persons will put up. Please, let's continue to emphasize on contentment. Godliness with contentment is great gain. Let's de-emphasize, materialism, worldliness. Let's de-emphasize vanity. Let's emphasize hard work, diligence, integrity, selflessness. Let's emphasize these attributes, these moral values, so that our nation, our neighborhood, our communities can truly thrive and flourish. So we've been talking about how to deal with trauma, as a process. And, I need to emphasize that it is a process. It is a process. So those of us who are helping, we need to be patient with people who are dealing with trauma. And you're not going to fix a time for them and say, by tomorrow this person should have been okay. No, you do not deal with trauma in such a way. You encourage, you give support, help them to be able to go through it. And the fact that one person is able to recover more quickly than some other persons is not enough reason to begin to compare those other persons with, somebody who's able to recover quickly. It takes time. It takes support. It takes intentional effort. So key steps: ensure safety, move away from ongoing danger or harm. I've talked about that. Information, news, that could trigger emotional pain. Please stay away from them. Acknowledge the presence. Acknowledge that the event has affected you or is affecting you. Don't minimize or deny your feelings, but then do not let it overwhelm you. Express your emotions. Make sure you look out for trusted people around you that you can open up to, who can support you spiritually, support you emotionally, support you mentally. Some of the things that, you can do in this stage also, maybe people who've been through, who've been rescued, been delivered from such captivity of abductors, and you're dealing with the pain, maybe as you hear these stories, it triggers, some emotions in you. You can deal with them. Use healthy outlets such as prayer, such as music. You can listen to good music content, music with good content that can lift your spirit, that can lift your soul. You can engage in art, painting, drawing, going there in the open, just admiring nature. It can help you to heal. These are some of the things that can help you to heal. You need to seek professional support. Professional support, like I've said. I'm a professional counselor. We have several others out there. Work with a trained counselor or therapist. Trauma-informed counseling helps you process painful experiences safely. And then build a support system. Build a healthy support system. Stay connected to supportive family, friends, faith communities, or support groups. Please do not isolate yourself. And we're saying also to families of such persons who are traumatized, please do not isolate them. Please let them be in a community, of a support system. Sometimes people who've been through same or similar, trauma, help themselves in healing. By the time they share their experiences, they share, the things that they've been through, they're able to help one another. So the person who's going through or dealing with that trauma is not left with that feeling like, oh, why am I the only one? I'm the only one going through this. So when they hear other persons, talk about what they've been through, they're able, to be encouraged. So isolation often increases distress. Isolation often increases distress. Please do not isolate yourself, and please, people around such persons who may have been through torture, please do not isolate them. Let them get necessary support. And if there be anyone who is feeling suicidal because of what they've been through, because they feel stripped of their dignity, they feel stripped of their essence, and they need to be reassured. They need to be reassured that they can recover. They need to be reassured. So please, let's speak words of affirmation. Let's encourage. Let's speak words of hope. Then care for the body. It's important to get adequate sleep, to eat nutritious meals, to engage in regular, physical activity. Very important. These things will help recovery. And then, like I've said, some persons think that, when they're going through traumatic experiences, I talked about, being able to cope with situation. Some other times we'll be looking at coping mechanisms, and some have negative coping, mechanisms that they expose themselves to. And some people tell them, when you take a shot of, alcohol, and then before you know it, introducing them to some substances, hard drugs, and before you know it, it becomes an addictive tendency they're not able to heal from. You've seen some who've been traumatized because they've been sexually violated, and they've become addicted, to sexual perversion and immorality, because there's that feeling, and for some of them, there's that I call it some kind of negative counsel to say to them that for you to feel dignified, you should just continue in this path. Please do not take to such negative counsel. There is hope, there is help, there is support. There is the need, to ensure that you are not exposed to substances that can further, aggravate your trauma. Then you need to learn, healthy coping mechanisms, breathing exercises. Even those who feel afraid and anxious, please, you can do this. You may not have necessarily been involved, directly, but you just feel some sense of trepidation, anxiety, fear. You want to go out, it's dark, and then all manner of pictures and images are flooding your mind. You want to board a taxi, you want to go on that bike, and all manner of thoughts, negative thoughts are coming in your mind. Practice mindfulness. And what are you thinking about? Whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things, that will lift your spirit, that will help you. Think on these things. And then be patient with the healing process. It's, like I said, I'm using the word process. It's not something that is, just magical or automatic that just happens the same day. Recovery is rarely linear. So some days will feel easier than some other days, but when you are or you're willing, with the support that you have around you, it will help you. So you can as a person of faith, ensure that you pray. And those, for those who would require professional help, I want to say, if there's anybody who constantly or consistently talks about having nightmares, flashbacks, thoughts of self-harm, severe anxiety or panic attacks, and the feeling that, there's something, the shock that they feel. Somebody's opening the door and then they're afraid because they've been through, or maybe because there's been a similar, situation. So when they see something that's similar to that, any kind of noise, or somebody who looks like somebody they've seen as part of the bandits, or somebody who's, caused them harm, when they see such persons or such images, it can cause panic attacks. If you have any such persons around, please refer them for professional care, professional help. At home, please, let's pay attention. In our institutions, please, let's pay attention, as we are all ensuring that all hands are on deck, that we're all playing our part. Those who are reeling out information, please be sure to not push out information that are not verified. Healing from trauma involves restoring a sense of safety, meaning, connection, and hope. And I want to say to you, it is possible to recover even after deeply painful experiences. I say that again. It is possible to recover even after deeply painful experiences. And that's why we're here for you on Nurture Nest. But want to encourage everyone out there, be mindful of your role in the times and seasons that we're in. Do not aggravate, do not, add to the pain that people are already going through. Do not add to the trepidation, the anxiety, and fear in the environment. Be one. Be such who would help people to overcome their fears, to overcome, the feelings of helplessness or anxiety that they're going through. And remember, once again, help is available, support is available. And we want you to know that we care for you, we care about you, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing time on the show today on Character Matters for Nation Building. I remain your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe, and this has been Wells Radio 89.3 FM. I'll see you again next week. Thank you and bye for now.